Everyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on rock. That is today's New Testament daily Bible verse from Matthew 7:24. Jesus says these words at the end of the Sermon on the Mount. And they are so important precisely because what Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount is so challenging. He speaks of renouncing retaliation, and we ask ourselves, how can we do that? Not to oppose evil. We should stop judging others and rather see the beam in our own eye, he says. But don't we also have to clearly condemn moral wrongdoing? We should rely on God instead of on mammon, on our money. But if you don't want to be dependent on others, you do need money. Yes, the words of Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount are challenging words, but they all point out to us things that are indeed central for a meaningful and fulfilled life. In living together, breaking through the hate dynamics of our time by simply seeing the other person as a human being first, restraining ourselves from making hasty judgments about others because we ourselves have sufficient reason to put our own house in order. Being on guard that money really remains only a means for a sufficient life and does not develop a momentum of its own, so that it becomes an end in itself and in the end is actually worshipped like a god. These are all guidelines for true living. It's just like Jesus says, everyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on rock. Go blessed and guarded by God into this week.